Hello everyone, my name is Simon Sikele and welcome to our second video working with more sprites. So today we'll be learning how to use more than one sprite. So the first thing to do, I'm not going to be using this sprite, so I'll have to delete it. So you left click on that, it's gone. So to add a new sprite, you go here, choose a sprite, click on that. I need a bat, so I go here and I say bat. So now I've got my new sprite, which is a bat. The other thing to do is you can always rename your sprite, so I can call this bat1, then enter. So you can basically call it anything you want to call it. So once you're done with that, what other thing you can do, you can also change the rotation of your bat, the direction. You can change it like that. Either you use this option here, or you can go under motion and use pointing direction. If I do that, I change the direction. Remember, in order for you to apply the direction you selected, you need to click this. It will now face that other direction. So now let's get into our program. Just gonna reset it now to 90. Okay. So we've learned quite a lot of concepts in the first video. So I'm not gonna be taking much time explaining the concepts that were already covered in the first video. So what I'm gonna be doing now, I'm just gonna be trying to animate our bat. So I can say it should move, and then I can add a delay, which is a wait. You can just add it here and change its value. And now if I click on it, you realize that it will move and all that. So in the previous video, what we did is we used a block called repeat, this one. This time around I'm going to use forever, so that this can move for 10 steps with a delay of half a second until I decide to stop it. So if I click it now, you'll see what will happen. It will move, 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 move. Okay. So you can no longer see it because it's outside of the screen. So you remember in the previous video, we went under motion and we say if it's on the edge, it should actually bounce. But you realize after it bounces, it's actually facing upside down. So we set the rotation style to left, right, like that. But you can see the bat doesn't actually move like that. So what can we do? We can actually animate it. Let me stop it. We can animate it so that it can actually behave like a normal bat. So if you go under costumes, you'll see that the bat has got 4 costumes. So you've got all this. So in order for you to animate it, so each and every sprite you're going to be using will have different costumes so that it can be animated. So if you want to animate your sprite, you go under looks and you use the option next costume. So this option, where do I want to apply it? I want it to move 10 steps, then change the costume or change the movement. So I'm going to take it and put it just after the delay, so that you'll move, delay, and then change. If I run this now, you'll see what happens. Now you've got a bat that is behaving more like a bat, right? Yeah. Or you can either put it even, you can even put it up here to make the animation a bit smoother, right? So now I've got my bed that's been animated right there. It's able to move and do all that. So the other thing you can do is change the color and the size of it, and also make it say something. So in order for you to change the color, you go under looks also. This feature called change color effect. So I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna apply it after the costume changes, which is there. So as you can see, the nose and the wings actually change each and every time when it moves. So the effect here is set to 25. So the smaller the effect, the smaller the changes. If you change this effect here to something like 5, see, let me just stop it, then run it. See, the change is not really that much. You've got different variances of the same color, and if you change it to something like 1, you realize that you're gonna have different shades of red before the next color actually comes through. Let's wait for it. You can see now it's changing to a bit orange, and so on and so on. So the smaller the number, the smaller the changes, but it will actually change at the end of the day. Okay, let me just add the event so I don't need to click this every now and then. Okay, so the other thing that you can do is make your bed say something. So what I can do is I can go to looks again, and I can just make it say something. Let me see, what can I make it say? You can put it anywhere. Say, let me just leave it as default as hello. So it will actually, you can see up there it's saying hello, right? So you can basically customize what you want it to say, right? So let me just change this to flying away, right? If I run that now, you'll see it will say flying away. Okay, so in order for it, you can also change its size. So the size, you change it by, you can either decide to set a certain size, it will remain on that particular size, or you can change its size while it's actually being moving and being animated. So I'm gonna just change its size to by, okay, let me change it by 10 first. Let me run it. You'll see it will keep on increasing. As you can see, it keeps getting bigger and bigger. So you can also make use of negative values here. You can change it by -10. If I run it, it will become smaller and smaller. You can see it's becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay, yeah, now it's very small, so it's really flying away. Okay, and so if you realize that you've applied some of the graphics here, or some of the looks here, and you want to clear them up, you can use a feature called clear graphic effects. You can put it here, so that every time before your program runs, you can actually clear the effects. If I run that now, sorry, actually I need to remove this. Let me remove this and that. So what I'm gonna do first is reset the size of my sprite back to 100. Let's take it back to 100, and then I'm gonna remove okay, no, it's fine. So if I run it now, you can see that is no longer changing, right? So every time when you've got you've applied some graphics, to your sprite and you want to remove them, you can make use of the option here, clear graphic effects. In order for you to see it very clear, let me just make use of one effect that you'll notice. Instead of change color, I'm going to use fish eye and make it 50. If I make it 50, you can see that now it's looking very weird, right? So if you realize that you have something like this and for some reason your sprite doesn't want to reset back to its initial settings, you just click clear graphics effect. It will always do that. So the easier way to do it is to put it as your first after your event there, so that it can, every time when it gets back there, it actually gets resetted. Right, so I'm gonna also remove this. And okay, so I'm now gonna be adding our second sprite to this. So to add a second sprite or the second actor, you go to choose sprite. So I'm gonna add, let me see, a ball. Where's a ball? Yeah, I'm gonna add that baseball. So you can see right now I've got two of them. So take note that when I click on the baseball sprite, the code for the bat disappears. So it actually didn't get deleted, but it's simply to show you that you're working with a different sprite. So if you go back to bat, you'll see a code there. If you go to baseball, you'll see nothing for the baseball because we haven't yet written any code. So take very good note of that, because as you work with more sprites, it might get a bit confusing. So always make sure that you've selected the sprite you want to work on before you start building the code. So on the baseball, what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to add a very simple code here. So I'm going to start with the event there, and I'm going to, go to the rotation style. And I'm going to add my control. You already know what the forever does from the sprite here in the bat. It will make your sprite move forever and ever without stopping until you stop it. And then, so what I'm going to do is I'm trying to make a little game here whereby the baseball bat will actually hit the baseball will actually hit the bat, and whenever that happens, something should actually happen, some motion or something should actually happen. So I'm gonna go here. So I'm gonna include something called an if. So an if block, what happens is that it says if, and then this here you're gonna put a condition. So if this particular action happens, then do something. So I'm gonna put it inside here, and I'm gonna go to sensing. So in sensing, I'm saying if. So because I'm talking about them touching each other, I go to touching. So I put it inside there. So if I say if the baseball is actually touching what? It's touching my bat 1, because I renamed it to bat 1. Then what should happen? I can just say, it should say something. Say touch. And then you can say touch for 2 seconds. And then I need to apply the same properties there, so that if it's on the edge, it should bounce back. So it can be an infinity game. So if it's on edge, it should bounce back. And one thing I can do is I can give it random positions, so that every time the ball can move to a random position while the bat is moving also. And if they touch each other, the baseball will actually write the words touch to show that they actually touch that. So I'm gonna add another thing. I'm gonna take it to, I'm gonna use go to a random position. So I'm not telling it to go to a certain specific point. I'm just saying go to a random position. So now if I run that, and I also come here and I run my code this side, you can see that that is moving. Sorry, where's my, oh sorry, I forgot to move my baseball. So I can also go and do the move. My baseball should just move for 10 steps. So as you can see, as it does that, it actually keeps moving. But you can see that it's actually stuck here. So what I can do is I can allow it, change its rotation style, so I can allow it to actually, need to stop both. So it can actually rotate all around. So you can actually rotate everywhere, right? So I'm gonna say, I'm gonna start this one, and then I'm gonna start also this one, sorry. Okay, what's happening with my bed? Okay, sorry, I need to delete this block because I've already included the random position, so I don't need to tell it to move because I told it already it should go to a random position. So let's say, for instance, I'm putting it here. We'll see what happens. When they touch, it says touch, and it go afterwards move to a random position. So every time that the ball and this touches, it will go to a random position. So that means that in order for the game to actually run very well, I need to also go to the bed and tell it to rotate all around, which is everywhere, because right now it's just gonna go left and right. So I need it to occupy the whole screen. So if I run it now, and also go to my baseball, I also run it, you can now see that the bat is actually rotating or basically flying in any direction. Okay, so just to make them move a bit faster for the purpose of the video, I'm just going to change the delay of a bat to a smaller weight. I'm going to change it to 0.2 so that it can move a bit faster. So you can see it actually touching the ball without me having to do anything. So it's going to the ball. Once it touches it, okay, it didn't. Let me just take the ball down here. Okay, let me put it here so you can touch it. So you can see what I'm actually trying to achieve. Oh, the ball hasn't yet been started, sorry. So you can see it says touch, touch, touch. It will move to a different location. Once it touches it again, it will say touch, and then it will keep on moving to random positions. So one last thing that should be added, or that you can see here, is what we call a backdrop. So a backdrop is more like your stage. So you go here and choose a backdrop. So I'm just gonna use any random one. I'm gonna use because it's a ball and all that. Let me just go to outdoors and use baseball. So you can now see that the background there, now it's a base, well, it's a basketball stage, and then you can go and choose basically anything. So that's how you add a new backdrop. And then another backdrop that you might be using likely, it's what you call the XY grid. So we've got the XY grid here, which normally shows you the positions and coordinates and all that, and you can normally be told to move to a specific position. One other thing that you should take note of, it's the coordinates here. If I take my sprite and move it down here, you see that the coordinates are changing, and every time when the sprite is moving, you can see your X and Y have different coordinates. So I'm just gonna add a third sprite just to show you one other feature you can do. I'm just gonna add another ball. So you can see I have a ball here, so you can basically tell your sprite to go to a specific position. So if I put it here, I can say use an instruction here called go to, and I can say go to those two coordinates 2, 3 and 39. If I click on that, sorry, I can tell it to go to, let me tell it to go to 50 and 39. If I click on that, it will actually go there. Or you can also use the glide. So you can use this one, glide here, glide to render position. If I click that, you can see it moving, unlike just. So you can either use the glide to see it moving to a certain position, or you can use the go to go to certain coordinates. Thank you very much. We'll meet in the next video.